Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joined with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
Oh, good. We're getting a little bit of a late, late recording for this week. We were still recovering from that last episode where we celebrated Chris's birthday, which I don't even fucking remember recording, to be honest. For once, I watched it new as a viewer with you guys as well. That last one, I was like, I quite frankly couldn't remember what was said or what occurred during that episode, but that was a fun one. Or was it? I don't know. I couldn't remember.
I don't know. Check it out.
Hence the late entry in this week's comic shop talk. We're actually recording this at the time of the start of the new comic week here, guys. So, we're usually a little quicker to the punch on these episodes, getting them out there for you guys. But that's okay. I mean, shit happens. We had a busy weekend. We just celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving, so yeah, shout out to that. No turkey leftovers for me today, though. I was really sad. I was really upset about that. Yeah. I had turkey. I just didn't snag any leftovers on the way out of my mom. So yeah,
Bring one Tupperware when you go there.
yeah. I gotta come prepared. There's your tip for the day, guys. But yeah, welcome to Comic Shop Talk, guys. They're celebrating episode 97 here today on the road to 100. Yeah, inching closer and closer to that 100th episode, guys. Make sure to tune in for that one. It'll be just like every other episode. We're not doing anything special.
Spoiler alert.
But it'll be hopefully a really good week of comics. We always have fun
Yeah,
doing
I
this.
thought we had Mark Miller lined up to come in along with Chip Zdarsky. I heard they were. I heard we put out some feelers to them, and we
Yeah,
didn't.
that's right. That's right.
I must have forgot
It'll-
to send out that email to them. I know they were. They're ready to go. We're good friends on Twitter
that's right. They never
or X now,
RSVP'd.
whatever it is.
Yeah, X. They never RSVP'd, unfortunately. They never got back to us. There was some sort of miscommunication, but we'll work that out, guys. Maybe
Yeah.
episode 101, you'll see those guys. But yeah, always a good time here at Comic Shop Talk. And this week we're gonna be talking about the week of October 4th, 2023, the new comics that came out on this week. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as always, guys. I need you guys to subscribe. I'm putting money into this thing. Got a new laptop and a new webcam. Look how much more clearer I'm coming out here today. Can't you tell the difference here? Audio equipment. Come on, man. Like, I need you guys to subscribe. It's high production over here going on.
I'm still using
And
my phone.
Chris too. I mean, there's all kinds of high production going on over there. You don't even
I think
know.
I turned the light on in the back because it's dark now.
Oh man, it makes spoiler warning as always, guys. Be forewarned. In case you do want to, you might get spoiled by some of the talks that we're going to be doing here today. We're going to be showing off some of the art from these books, so just be forewarned, guys, ahead of time. You can always read your books and come back and watch this, or like I said, since we're late putting this one out, you probably already read your books, so no, you don't have to worry about that so much this week. All right, Chris.
All right, without further ado, let's talk comics. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. All right, first up on the docket here today, a book that I really want to I want to hear what you had to think of it, what you thought of this book here today, Chris. That's God's #1. I don't know what it stands for because there's all those, there's
Yeah,
G
like an
dot
acronym or
O.
something.
Yeah,
If that's part of the mystery, but
that's part of the mystery. But what did you think about this one, Chris?
no, I thought it's $10 though. That's not ideal.
60 pages though. It was worth the price in terms of that page count. 60 pages this one. So it's like 3 comics in one.
Yeah. Well, they could have just spread this out in 3 comics, I think. But yeah, I thought the art's great inside. The characters, a lot of new characters. I think Doctor Strange is sort of like the touchstone to link everything to this Marvel universe. And I don't know. There's no big revelations. I thought this was supposed to be something that's going to be, involving all the big sort of godlike characters in Marvel, and you didn't really see much of them. Just a little bit of history of this, I guess, Constantine type guy. I forget what his name is, and I guess and his girlfriend or his wife, and they seem to be on different magic factions, and they have to go against each other. So Well, we'll see how it goes. I wasn't overly impressed. I thought the art was decent. It was an interesting read as I go through, but it's better starts pumping up the volume here in these next few issues, or it's going to be dropped pretty soon. Is this a limited series, or is this
I
like a
think
new
it's on.
ongoing?
I think it's ongoing for now until they announce that it isn't. As
Yeah,
far as
like
I know, like I mean, I'm sure it's going to be like a 12 issue thing, maybe at
yeah,
most, right? Like I
unless
don't.
for some reason this thing just goes freaking haywire popular. But from
Yeah, but
this first
I don't
issue,
think.
I don't see much to get us there.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed this. I mean, at first, to be honest, it felt like there was a lot of text in this book. Like there's a lot to get through. It was a slog at times. It was a 60-page comic. And I gotta say, like, if this wasn't Hickman, if it wasn't a high profile creator, I don't know how interested I would be in this, because like he ultimately had to establish a whole new set of characters that we've never been introduced to in this issue. So he kind of needed that page count in a way, because like, while I was going through it, making my way through this issue, I wasn't all in at first, but I felt like by the end, I was really interested in the story that was being told. There was some great dialogue, I thought, with these characters. It's just a big investment. It's a big investment. I don't know if I'd be willing to make it if it wasn't a creator's work I really enjoy. But I did like his, like, I don't know, this dude, the one guy that's on one side of the gods. I did like his assistant. I really liked like his kind of back and forth with that guy. Like that was really
Yeah,
entertaining, I thought. And I did enjoy the art, and I did like that it was slightly kind of intermingled with Marvel stuff. Like the way that he introed the book was a scene with him and Doctor Strange talking to each other about kind of if he considers himself a good guy or a bad guy, and they kind of revisited that scene at the end cap of it. Like they kind of, I guess, like it was like a cold open where they kind of showed you like that the start was basically the end of the issue as well. But I kind of liked how you kind of had to see him figure out a way to basically save the day here in this scenario that they got stuck in. Like basically he had to take out some, like, I don't know, entity or something in this, and he had to figure out some sort of clever way through the going to the collector and getting some ancient artifact from the collector, and then going to the next guy and basically trading up for a bunch of different items. Eventually getting to the point where like he used it to take out the guy that was, I guess, fucking with the heroes,
yeah,
and yeah, and I liked how there's like, it's like there's two kind of factions of gods that are kind of going against one another or don't see eye to eye with each other, and they exist within the Marvel universe somehow. And his ex-wife is on the other side, of course, and had to separate her from her marriage with him as a result of him being on the other side, the opposite side. So there, I get what you're saying. It better kind of get you hooked, maybe even more so in coming issues. But I think by the end of this issue, I'm glad that they made this an oversized issue. I'm glad they got a lot of this text and setup out of the way. And I guess we'll see where it goes from here. I mean, like, I have faith in Hickman. I do like his stuff. So I'm kind of invested either way, I feel like, at this point. But it was a slog to get through at first. I will say that. And like, I don't know if this is going to be for everybody. Again, these are not pre-established characters that he's setting up. These are brand new fucking characters. So like, I gotta, tip my cap to him in that sense. Like this is a big undertaking, let's say, to do this, right, in the Marvel universe, and say that's a Marvel book when really there's no other than him kind of talking to a few Marvel characters in this. It's its own thing, right?
yeah.
So yeah, so I heard him referring to this book prior to it being announced at Marvel that this is going to be like his Sandman universe type book for Marvel, like his like basically some sort of like Neil Gaiman kind of esque title. So I think he has his own plans for this corner of the Marvel universe. And, we'll see how much crossover there actually is. If he kind of does it in a way like I feel like we're going to be talking about with the next book, where Kirkman has kind of been steering the ship with Void Rivals and inserting, Transformers and G.I. Joe and shit like that in the world. If he kind of does that with this book, where he inserts some Marvel stuff here and there and kind of just tells a story of these godlike characters, I'd be okay with that if that was what this book was. It's just I kind of had to figure out what we're signing up for here, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
So So you're not totally in right now either, though. You're kind of like
Well,
you're
I
being
think I
split.
bought the first few issues, and I'll give it a go.
Yeah, yeah. So what did you give this out of 5?
I give it a 3.5.
Ooh, I gotta give it a 4. I liked it. I think overall I enjoyed it way more than I didn't, and we'll see what happens next. I thought the art was good, and yeah, I will say though it was a bit of a slog. Like I could have given it possibly a lower rating if it didn't really get me interested towards the tail end of this issue, but yeah, I quite liked it. All right, next up, another big release this week. Transformers #1
Ooh, yeah.
from Image Comics. Yeah, we got the Daniel Warren Johnson cover. Chris, what'd you think of this one?
Well, I think this Daniel Warren Johnson, I read some of his other stuff, and this story or whatever, his art suits this Transformers universe perfectly, like, because everything's all angular, it's like all his characters were sort of a little bit wacky, he had his own style, but I think it suits this here perfectly. You know, I, I'm happy about those characters, whatever, Spike and his dad, Sparkplug. Just everything about this is great. Like it has nothing to do with any sort of the movies. Has nothing to like similar characters from the cartoons, but they're not like the kids are or whatever geeky kids, and just a lot of stuff going on here. And I thought this was great.
Yeah, I loved this issue. I mean, I went on and on and on about how much I love this guy's art already, with Duo Powerbomb being one of my favorite books from last year. If you guys go back and check the tape, it's on the record when we did the year-end awards, our first one that we did last year at the end of the comic shop talk of the awards at the end of the year. It won a couple of categories for me. I think it was my favorite miniseries and possibly favorite book. Or I loved that book. So seeing him in the Transformers universe has actually got me. I'm not a huge Transformers fan, but like him at the helm, being a big Transformers fan and me a big fan of his art, this is like a match made in heaven as far as I'm concerned. Like reading his little thing at the back of this book where he talked about like his memories of Transformers as a kid, like you can tell that he's really invested in this project. He's giving it his all. So I'm in. This was fantastic. His art is such a like kinetic energy and like movement to it as well. And like to see the Transformers like throw down like with like wrestling moves in this, Chris, like you could tell he's a fan of
Yeah,
wrestling even in this comic. Fucking what's his name? Like I think Optimus Prime clotheslined one of them at one point, right? It was fucking awesome, right? And like and like it honestly, once the Transformers showed up with the humans were already kind of in the mix, and the Decepticons versus the Autobots started happening with a few people that were, or like I guess, come back to life within this
yeah,
issue. It was off to the races. Then the whole rest of the issue was action packed, like right to the end, where you seen the Decepticons get away, and they ended up killing some humans that they came across at the end of this fucking issue, which was awesome. Like and like
yeah,
the ones that he chose to use in here were ones I think that are well known, like Optimus Prime, Soundwave, fucking what's his name, Starscream, and the other interesting thing too, Chris, was that they mentioned that what's his name, the bad guy, and
Megatron.
Megatron, yeah, Decepticon Megatron is like out of the picture right now. Like he is
Well,
Starscream's
that's one
appearance.
thing I'm happy they used too. There's still more to come. He didn't kind of blow his load all in the first issue with putting everything in there. If you're any fan of this, there's still big characters that need to be revealed, and that's going to be part of the fun. And also part of the fun is when you're reading this, you read Soundwave, you use his in your head, you have his Soundwave voice from the cartoon there. He kind of talks with that electronic voice. You got Ravage, all those cassettes that come out of his chest, they're all in it. So this is all the good stuff about Transformers are in here.
Yeah, and there was this awesome scene where he goes to get that big gun, and the humans had to push the gun towards him because it's on the ground. That was awesome, man. And you even got like a little. I mean, you didn't get too much of it in this issue, but you got a little bit teaser at the start that there is kind of like a human element to this, where the kid's father, I guess, it looked like fought in a war that involved like in this Energon universe, like involved like you've
Yeah,
seen some flashbacks of his father. I guess he's now like a drunk, but it looks like he actually maybe a drunk as a result of like some I don't know if he has PTSD or whatever. Like it looks like he fought in a war, whether it was with the GI Joes or the Transformers like years ago, and And
Yeah.
at this point in time, there's like not enough energon to really like they're fighting for the fact that there's not much energon out there left anymore. Like they reference it in here, and I guess there's other like transformers now that they're gonna have to go and like actually wake up and like or like sleep in or like out of commission that they're basically going to rescue by the end of this. I love this. I'm totally fucking in. This was awesome. And yeah, somebody made a comment to me that I know saying like, oh, and I know he's also a fan of Daniel Warren Johnson. He likes his human characters, and he thought he didn't enjoy his look of the Transformers. I'm like, you're crazy. I said to him, like I thought, yeah, I thought he looked great, the Transformers in this, right? So I couldn't disagree more with like, yeah, this is where you grab that human and squished him at the end. Yeah, so awesome fucking issue. I'm totally all in. I'm in for the miniseries. I'm gonna try out the miniseries that are coming out of the G.I. Joe. At least the ones that are, I think, Duke and Cobra Commander or whatever. But yeah, we'll see how those kind of fit into the Energon universe. But this is a great debut. I'm really excited for this one. So, what'd you give this out of 5, Chris?
Yeah, I'll give this 4.5. I thought it was a great read. I was looking forward to it, and it paid off. Yep.
5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 for me. Amazing issue. All right, next up we got Birds of Prey #2. Got my issue right here. You're not picking this one up, Chris?
I don't know. I don't think I put it in the solicitation. I think I just got the first issue. Let's see, where do I have it? I think I just got the first issue because it was one of these variant covers. I don't think I was able to show it off last time I had it.
Oh, let me see
And,
that. Hold up. Let's bring that up. The Chris Botcholo cover. Yeah, nice. That is nice.
yeah, that's a pretty sweet cover. So I think I bought that just for that reason. But I am enjoying reading this, though. And this one here, I forget what happened in here. Weren't they all kind of separated and they all meet up again or something? And this art
Yeah,
here, this is a very kind of classic style of art, but I think it's great, though. I loved it. Like, it's not
yeah.
usually my cup of tea, but they're doing this right. There's still enough expression in all their faces. This isn't done to half-ass it. He's going full ass in this, even though it's like a simpler art style, let's say.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and kudos to them too for not, they could really, up the cheesecake factor in this whole series. If they kind of had that, what's that guy from The Exterminators? The Carlos something. If they had him, an art style like this, where everybody's sort of all, out dressed to the nines the whole time, but they went more with a more, I guess, down to earth art style, and pushing this more on story, and I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying about the art. Leonardo Romero's the artist, and he's worked with the Kelly Thompson before on some stuff over at Marvel. I think he did a Kate Bishop Hawkeye book with her at Marvel, which I was a really big fan of. So if you even come across that, Chris, even online or whatever, maybe check that out. You might like that book. But yeah, I really like the vibe of this. They got the band together last issue. In this issue, you get to see them all interact a little bit more. It seems like they all kind of came to the same sort of conclusion of kind of how to get there. They all ended up in this like weird magical kind of like town that John Constantine had access to, that I guess there was something there that they had to obtain in order to help them in their mission. And they're off to the to infiltrate the Amazons now, and they reference the stuff that's currently going on with the states being against the Amazons in Tom King's Wonder Woman, which we just talked about, I think, the last week, right? And I agree. The art's wonderful. Interesting kind of like pastel-y color palette though to it. Like the colorist is doing like a weird. It works though. It's different. It's a good thing because I think it stands out amongst all the other books on the stands in that sense. It definitely has its own kind of unique art style to it. And it's a lot of fun. Great dialogue, great team. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more. This was an awesome second issue. I'm really, really jazzed up about this series as well. Like I think that and yeah, King Shark showed up at the end, which was awesome. Harley's the whole time's like, don't worry, I got a plan. Like they're like, okay, Harley. And then King Shark shows up at the end, and they're like, come on. Like, really? This is how we're gonna get to the Themyscira, no, whatever it's called, where the Amazons are. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. Like I said, it was a good read.
4.25 for me. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this series. 2 issues in, I'm gonna continue picking this one up. I think this is a clear winner in terms of how early like the series is like in the stages at this point. Where some of the other Marvel number 1s and number 2s lately I've been struggling with. I think this is a great new DC book that they've come out with. Chris, Poison Ivy number 15.
Yep. So I just bought this because I got a variant cover for this. It's a Sozomaki.
Nice.
I kind of bought this sight unseen, but her covers are always rocking, so I'm always good. I'm always down for a good Poison Ivy cover. So I've sort of fallen off the track. I've kind of been reading this in and out. Supposedly she's out trying to, I guess, trying to kind of state some ground in the swamp, and then she was messing with, I guess, and she's on some side quest for him. She ends up in some kind of haunted building. And this is pretty much what's going on, where she's trapped in there, and they go into this whole detail about the souls, or how she's trapped in there, some magic, and there's this guy here, Undyne or something, and he feels that they're kind of like kindred spirits because she's connected to the green, and he's sort of, I don't know, connected to this building somehow. That was an okay story, and I think it's Killer Croc comes in, and they kind of take care of business, do whatever they do to kind of solve this little mystery. But it's a fun story, and I'm still surprised that this was one of those series that started out as a limited series and it's going on for a big run, whereas other series that looked like they were supposed to be ongoing series end up being dropped after 12 issues or something. So I'm happy to buy this whenever I see a good cover, and usually the story inside is pretty decent. I give this maybe 3.75.
All right, so that's Poison Ivy. Next up, we got DC's Ghouls Just Want to Have Fun, Chris. Which I didn't get a chance to read. I really wish I did, because at least in terms of the art, there's some great artists on this anthology that they put out. Much better than I thought they had to, put in here for an anthology, right? Like in terms of like these holiday things that they put out. So do you recall enjoying any of the stories in here, or?
No. I did a quick read through it, and I don't know. I don't know if they're supposed to be spooky stories or what, but none of them really, like you say, you're hoping for one or two to really kind of, be the tentpole for this, or to be the anchor for this anthology. But I don't know. They're all decent reads, but I don't know. None of the characters were really for me, and I don't know. I'm glad I didn't buy it. Let's say so. I don't really have much to say about it. Like I couldn't tell you like even who was in all the stories or what each one were about. But there's a lot of them. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it looks like the questions in one of them. Then you got Green.
Yeah, it might have been just a big read. I might have finished just reading Gods, then I picked this one up next and go, another slog to go through.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just wasn't a good time for me to read this.
Right, Etrigan, who I'm a fan of. Well, I will say this. I mean, I didn't read this, like I said, but I did enjoy some of the artists that were featured in here. Tyler Crook, Riley Rossmo. Who else here that I noticed? Oh, I think I know this artist, but I can't think of their name. But like, yeah, I thought there were some interesting artists in this. This is the Animal Man issue. Yeah, and then they had this one. Javier Rodriguez, I think, was on this one. Yeah, there's some good artists featured in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you weren't feeling it, I get that. So I guess you won't be rating this one then. Or maybe you will. Maybe you'll give it a low rating because you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, it won't be super low rating. I'd be a 3.5, like it was an okay read, I was expecting more of this Lobo stuff. I remember looking through all the characters and who the stories were. I was looking for more people or for more stories or better characters. Like, I'm not really a big Man Bat fan or whatever. So
yeah, I think they're going more of the spookier characters, right?
Yeah.
So anyways. All right. So next up I got Sins of the Salton Sea number 5. I don't feel like I talked about like the last issue or two. This was a 5-issue mini series. I know I started talking about this book on the show. But I think I just caught up because I had to read issues 4 and 5 this week because I saw that the last issue had come out. I just read this digitally. Yeah, Ed Brisson, who I'm a fan of, he had written this. It was okay. I was never really in love with the artist C.P. Smith on this story. Not a big fan of his work. I think that continued throughout the miniseries for me. I didn't think it got any better. This issue basically concludes this story. For anybody who doesn't remember, this guy was like involved in a heist gone wrong, and then he found out that the people that had set up the heist were part of like some sort of cult that thinks that the world is going to be coming to an end. And um basically in this issue, which is kind of like the cool twist ending, I guess you could say, that leaves you on a cliffhanger, is they're trying to the guy who runs the cult is trying to sacrifice his kid that was part of like involved in this heist that they hired him for. And this guy took it upon himself because he lost his family due to something gone wrong because he was a criminal, that this was almost like a redemption for him, where he could be like, I'm going to save this kid. And because I wasn't able to save my own family. So he took it upon himself to go up against the guy at the end. And he's like, listen, like the world's going to come to an end if you don't fucking let me sacrifice my kid here. And I don't care what you say. It exists. It's a real thing. And don't fuck up, and you're going to doom everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, you're going to make the world. Yeah, you can't just, you're being selfish. Like this, trust me, I love my child, but I have to make this fucking decision for everybody's sake. And he's just like, no, I don't fucking believe it. And even if it's true, I don't care, because like, I'm not letting it happen to this kid. I already fucked up once. I'm deciding against it, blah, 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 blah. And in the end, he takes out the guy who runs the cult. Like he kills a bunch of these people. And as it happens, you see this thing lingering in the background, that this Cthulhu creature that was apparently the thing that he had to sacrifice his kid to, that he didn't tend to believe in. It looks like it was real. And at the end, you just basically see him make his choice, and there's a fucking big explosion, and we don't know what happened. So it looks like the whole world basically gets destroyed because this thing didn't get his sacrifice. It's kind of like a Sopranos-esque type ending, where it's just like, what happened? Yeah, it was. I gotta say, the series itself was like okay throughout. It was an interesting premise that hooked me with the first issue, and then after that, I felt like it didn't live up to the expectations that the first issue set up. But this ending, I thought, was a really good ending. So yeah, I was into it overall. I think it was not bad, but I wish the artist was better on this series, or else I'd give it a higher rating. I'm gonna go 3.5 on this based off of this ending. I would give it a lot higher if I really enjoyed the artist on the series, but I didn't. But it was a 5-issue miniseries, so if this sounds like something that's interesting to you guys, definitely check it out in trade, or you can track down the issues. It was by AWA Studios, which is like one of these newer publishers that has popped up over the last couple years, that has got some editors, I think, that have worked for like Marvel and DC working over there. So they're kind of bringing in some really good talent, and there's been some good books that have come out of there. So every now and then I'll check it out, depending on the creator, like the titles that come out from that company. So yeah, not bad. Next up, we got Enfield Gang Massacre #3. This is the 3rd issue. I think this is also a 5 or 6 issue miniseries. I talked about, again, the first issue, and then I failed to talk about the 2nd issue on the show, so I got caught up on this book as well. This is that Texas Blood, which is a Texas crime story, like that takes place like with in Texas, with like sheriffs and everything, like a sheriff that kind of chronicles like him dealing with like rural crime type stuff there. And it's a good crime book that comes out from Image that I'm a really big fan of. I've been reading it in trade. So I've been reading this one digitally. This is kind of like a spinoff that takes place in the early 1900s of Texas. So it is still kind of that it says on the cover, that Texas Blood, but it's focused on this Enfield Gang Massacre event that happened, I guess, in Texas in the early 1900s. And this has just been a great straight up Western book. I don't know who's looking for this in today's market, but there should be more fucking Western books in today's market. There's not enough. I do think it's a great genre if you can tell a good story. And I think this just makes sense for this title, fucking That Texas Blood, just because it's telling interesting stories that take place in Texas, and why not go back to the past and tell one. I think this has been really solid. I've been enjoying it, and yeah, really good stuff. I give this a 3.75. I thought it was another good issue. A lot of good intrigue and kind of like, deaths and killing and stuff in this, and just stuff you'd see, like panels that the artist had drawn that would looks like it came out of straight out of, like, Fistful of Dollars or something like that. Like a Clint Eastwood movie or something like that. And the guy has a chain fucking gun at one point in this, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, it's great stuff. And then one of the Confederate guys shows up at the end, so who knows what's gonna go down now. So yeah, really interesting stuff. So yeah, I gave it a 3.75 out of 4.
Nice.
Chris, let's talk about Sacrificers number 3 next. I got this Walking Dead, I guess, variant by James Herron. Right. Yeah, they kind of did like a Walking Dead-esque, like, kind of homage, let's say, with the Sacrificers characters on this cover.
That's the A cover.
Yeah, it's a nice one too. What'd you think of this? I know we've really been enjoying this series.
Yeah, no, it's still trucking along. It's pretty good. I think we last left them with all the tributes or whatever you want to call them. They kind of were promised or they were promised to go to kind of a promised land, let's say, and it turned out to be that's the case. And in this one, you kind of explore that Eden-like playground that they were going to, and everything seemed to be great for them there. And then you get some outtakes there, what's going back in the real world and what's happening there. There's some big gala and whatever the intrigues going on there between the other characters there. But the characters I seem to be really following are those tribute type characters, ones of the Sacrificers. And it looks like things aren't going so great for them at the end. That's all I can say. What they're doing, I have no idea, but yeah, the story's taking another turn here, and it looks like the good times are over for our friends.
Should I not show the art, or should I just put out once
again?
Like
this is already a week late, so
okay.
If anybody's reading it, they've already read it, and if they're not, then they're going to hear about it sooner or later.
Spoiler warning once again, guys. But these next pages, yeah, kind of, as we thought was gonna happen. This Eden is not so as it's cracked up to be, apparently. And they go to this, like, of course, they're feeding them all this fattening food. Oh yeah, eat whatever you want. Well, when that started happening, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna end well. And then I'm glad that it took only 3 issues for him to reveal something. Like, I'm glad this didn't.
Oh yeah, something that you can see coming a mile away.
Yeah, but like, so then, like, this, like, I don't know, like, whale girl or whatever, like, they're all like anthropomorph. I always mess up that word, like animal people, like anthropomorphic people, and she goes to, like, a I don't know, like, they're basically, these people come out that's like Willy fucking Wonka, and like these, like, they're like dancing and singing. They're like, oh yeah, come this way.
Everything's fine. Don't worry, have fun.
And then she's like, all right, I'll see you later, to her friend, the main bird guy that we've been following in the series. And this is the one that was the big believer, and she gets whisked away. And then all of a sudden they're papering them up, and they're all getting their hair done, or so they think. And these big domes come down on their heads, and there's these spikes that come out of the domes and basically suck all, like, this, I don't know, like, life essence out of these people.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it ends up like in a big vat. And then it turns out the vat is the stuff that's getting it's not it's a joy, essentially. They hype them up and they make them believe this stuff, so they kind of make them all happy. It's literally joy, I think, that they're taking out of these people and drinking, like these like godlike characters at the gala or whatever that we've been somewhat following throughout this too. At the end, it's revealed that all these drinks that they're drinking at the gala are basically made out of, like, good feelings of these people. And the one character kind of sees what's going on, catches wind of it, the believer character, the whale girl or whatever, and then she gets really scared in the last moment, and then like the people that are doing it are like, oh, this one's tainted now. She all this fear got into hers, right? So like it
Yeah.
seems like they feed off of the good feelings of these people essentially, so they make them
Yeah.
believe in something. And then they fucking pull up the rug. It's fucked up. I was just like, Jesus Christ. At the end of this, I was like, it's kind of took a dark turn. I mean, you and me were kind of like, yeah, I don't know about all this. And then I'm glad they just didn't take like fucking 6 issues to reveal something about this, right? I like how they,
Yeah.
it's just been great. And the art's fantastic. Yeah, I'm loving this series. I think it's really fucking good. And I can't wait to see what happens next now that that's been revealed. Because I even like this whole other scenario with all these godlike people, like the more rich
Yeah, because
folk.
they're going to get their comeuppance soon. I don't know how, but something's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen to them.
Yeah, exactly. What did you give this
I'll give it
overall?
a 4. I thought it was pretty good too.
Yeah, I'll give this a 4 as well. Yeah, good stuff. Next up, the conclusion of Peacemaker Tries Hard. 6 of 6 here. The conclusion of this Kyle Stark's, I guess, DC debut, I'm pretty certain, this miniseries. So what'd you think of this?
Hey, I've been loving this all the way through, and this one delivers too. The good thing I like about this, they kind of concluded his mission there with whatever that freaking, I don't know, with that giant blob machine there. That was like concluded in like the first quarter of the story, because the second theme running through this was his birthday party, and they
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on his birthday party too.
Uh-huh.
So I guess his friend, what was that character's name? His parole officer, the B,
Red B or
the
something
Red
like that.
B.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert here, he doesn't sort of make it.
No.
There's a scene where they're in that death wheel, and Peacemaker's like, "Oh, I'm glad at least I get to die with a friend." And then the Red Bee says, "Oh, whatever." He goes, "Oh, I've lied to you about one thing," and then he pushes them out to save them, and then he gets to get the Red Bee there, or Peacemaker going back to the Red Bee's hive and talking to the bees. And it's I guess a sad moment. But then you do see that he does get a birthday party, and everybody's there. I guess Amanda Waller forces the Suicide Squad to be there. So it's a lot of people that have to be there, but nobody wants to be there. And, even there, that would have been a good ending. But then you get that demolition crew from a few issues earlier showing up there trying to get revenge on them, and they break down the door, and freaking it's like a superhero fest inside there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was all good stuff.
Yeah, god damn you, Kyle Starks. Way to fucking swerve this hilarious fucking R-rated book into having some heart at the end of the series. Honestly, like and it wasn't hokey. Like it was really well done. You're right. I really enjoyed seeing him kind of get together with all these people now as a result of the events that they went through in this book, somewhat become friends of his, or just kind of showing up for appearances in the with the Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad. But he had little, they had the teen Destro kid, at his party, and he
And
had
you
this
do
old ass,
like some pornos or something.
yeah. He's watching old school fucking porn on his like VHS. He's
You
like,
found
wow,
this in the woods.
he's like, I know, right? Isn't it awesome? I loved it. I cried. I didn't cry. I laughed. I cried. This is what I'm trying to say. This book had it all, like the range of fucking emotions in that sense. And like he did it in such a great way, Kyle Starks, that again, it just wasn't cheesy. It actually was well deserved. This wasn't the book the whole way through. It was, like I said, R-rated comedy and had a lot of funny stuff and some heroic type stuff in it. And then by the end, he inserted, like you said, like 3/4 of this issue was dedicated to kind of wrapping everything nice and a kind of a nice ending for these guys. And when those guys showed up at the party at the end of the day, try to like, cause some trouble, him and all his friends were like, all right, bring it, you assholes.
Yeah.
everyone's ready to throw down. Wonderful, wonderful miniseries. Honestly, like as a whole, I thought this was excellent. I bought the issues. I'm double dipping and buying the hardcover when it comes out. So yeah, this is definitely
I did wish I
well
would
deserved.
have bought all this stuff. And this
Yeah.
compared to, say, Kyle Starks is doing that Marvel Unleashed, right?
Yes.
And that Marvel Unleashed, I feel like he's got handcuffs on compared to like this. It looks like, they gave him carte blanche, do whatever you want to do. Like, they're letting him use like big time characters. And this is the way they should let him write in Marvel.
I will say though, this was his first DC thing, and Marvel Unleashed I think was his first Marvel thing because he's been
Yeah.
primarily putting out books independently and through Image prior to this. So you sometimes you got to kind of take what you can get in terms of like
Well, I
getting
know
your
that,
foot in
but
the door.
I know this is not a knock against him. This is a knock against Marvel for not letting him, freaking, at least come out with a full idea.
Marvel does not have a DC Black Label type situation though,
Yeah.
where it's more adult, which I agree with you. I think and that maybe that's a result of Disney owning them now, which is a shame. But you're right. I think given carte blanche to do what he kind of wants to do with this series and giving more freedom in this was way better than Marvel Unleashed. I've enjoyed Marvel Unleashed,
Yeah.
and it's been nice to see the different kind of things that he can do. Like he obviously is a writer that we've really enjoyed this year. Even that other one where Monsters Lie, which is totally fucking R-rated and hilarious, which is even more hardcore, I would say, than this book.
Yeah.
But I think again, it's nice to see that he's able to, he knows what the assignment is in that sense. Like he knows what to bring to the table. I think he's good in all aspects of like, I think, like I said, he's able to do action, comedy, which is very fucking hard to pull off. But then he comes through with an issue like this, and he kind of, gets at your heartstrings a little bit, and it was nice, man. It was good stuff. So yeah, Kyle Starks, man, I think he's in the running for favorite writer of the year, possibly
They
at
got
the
to get
year-end
him on
award.
Deadpool. If they want to kind of revitalize Deadpool, they got to get him on Deadpool.
That's a fucking great suggestion. That's a good match. I agree with you. You know who he's doing in a DC anthology now? I think it's in. I don't know which one that he's doing it in, but he's doing Wild Dog. Do you remember Wild Dog from back in the day from DC?
No.
It's like a kind of like a peacemaker type character, but DC is allowing him to do again like a D-list fucking character, but it's again like a guy that like a dude with a gun essentially that's kind of
Yeah,
fucked
like
in the
just some
head. Like yeah,
unhinged character. Nice.
yeah. So yeah, that's the next thing that he's doing for DC from what I've heard. So yeah, good stuff. Great miniseries. What'd you give this out of 5?
I'll give this a 4.25. That whole series a 4.25, 4.5. It's good stuff.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'd say 4.5 for the series, 4.25 for this issue. Yeah, good stuff. Absolutely. All right, Fantastic Four number 12, Chris.
Where do I have that? I don't know. I kind of just got this. I don't know. They threw it in my bag or my pull list, and I go, hey, what the heck? Why not? You see on the cover there, they got all I guess the Avengers as dinosaurs. I don't know why this is the big popular trend now. It's fun when they did it with, whatever, Peter Parker. Okay, they squeeze that out into Venomverse. And in this one here, I guess, wherever these Fantastic Four people are hanging out in the Aunt Petunia's farm, there's some sort of I don't know, cosmic disturbance in the forest. They go check it out, and they get sucked into this alternate or another dimension where everybody's dinosaurs, and whatever hilarity ensues. I guess the dinosaur Avengers kind of come to meet the Fantastic Four, and they're looking at them like I guess they're the aliens in this world. They can't communicate to each other, and then so they start fighting each other. And then, of course, during this time, Reed figures out a way to communicate with the dinosaurs so they can understand each other. Once that happens, they figure things out. And then I think one of the big things is they're worried about is there's some crazy stuff like that. The Brontosaurus is an Iron Man, and he's like, you got a Brontosaurus in an Iron Man suit. Just just crazy stuff. But I think one thing, Doctor Doom, whatever. I guess I can see why they do this. It is fun to do, but I've had enough of it. Looking at this, it is fun stuff.
That was that's all I was gonna say about this is that I thought this was a really fun time. I didn't know if they were gonna continue it into the next issue, but then when Doom T-Rex shows up at the end, I was like, all right, you got me, you fuckers. I was
Yeah.
like, all right. I was like, oh, give me one more issue of this. Sure, why not? When you end like this. I agree with you though. While I was reading this, I was just like, oh, so they're doing the dinosaur thing now with this. You know what's funny though? I will say Ryan North, the writer of this book, for years, I've never read them, but he did an online comic, like digital comic that I think wrote and drew, which is called Dinosaur Comics. So this guy actually is known for knowing a lot about dinosaurs and actually is a like and
Yeah,
is
that's his
yeah,
niche,
that's
let's say.
yeah, this is like before he became a big name. That's kind of what he did.
Yeah.
So I understand why he would insert this into Fantastic Four, but unfortunately, Marvel was a little bit slow on the draw for involving dinosaurs like DC has. Like, that's basically now it just feels like they copied DC with the
Yeah.
Jurassic League shit, right? So, but this is fun. I did have a lot of fun with this one. It was good. Like you said, it's your mileage may vary if you're still
Yeah,
into
it
this
is what
type of
it is,
stuff.
but
Yeah.
come on, Fantastic Four, you can do better.
What'd you give this?
Now talking, I'll give it a 3.75. I liked it
I get
more that we talked about it.
same. I give it a 3.75 as well. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Doctor Strange number 8. Here. This is another solid issue. I'm really enjoying this story. I thought the art was really great in this. Pascal Ferry, I guess is this artist. He kind of like a Phil Noto-ish kind of style, I would say, if I had to compare him to anybody. I didn't like. I don't know. I don't always love this guy's art, but I think it's growing on me. Or some issues he just does better than others. I thought this was one of his better issues. I thought this looked great. And in this issue, basically, Clea, you find out she goes to this like other version of Doctor Strange, this war general Doctor Strange, you know, basically version of himself that it has existed and has shown up in the current storyline. And she goes behind his back to take him out, but kind of tries to make it seem like she's in love with him and all this to get him close to her. And then she ends up stabbing him. And she's doing all this because, Doctor Strange, Steven doesn't fucking deal with problems the way that Clea would, essentially. So she's trying to do it behind his back without him knowing. And meanwhile, Doctor Strange has to go as the Sorcerer Supreme, ask for help from like the other like mystical beings or whatever they're called. What are they called? Those things that Doctor Strange looks up to, essentially. Like they're like I forgot what they're called. The Vishanti. Yeah. So he ends up going and speaking to them, and they're kind of like wiping their hands clean of this whole situation. They're like, yeah, we're not going to help you with this. He's like, okay, I guess I'll have to take matters in my own hands. And meanwhile, he ends up finding out that Clea went behind his back and went to kind of deal with this in her own way. She like kisses him to make him think like she's in love with this version of Doctor Strange. And meanwhile, she ends up getting him close and gets like some sort of dagger and stabs him, tries to kill him and take him out. And by the time like they start getting into a fight, Doctor Strange shows up, Steven shows up at the end, and it's kind of like, in the middle now. It's like a lover's triangle type deal going on. So, but like him showing up at the end, kind of like, you fucking touched my wife, like he is fucking pissed. So I was just like, yes. So I'm really looking forward to what happens in the next issue, because he apparently now, after he fucked up Clea, because she tried to deceive him, he's not happy. So we'll see what happens. I gave us a 3.75 out of 5. And then we got Shazam number 4. This is still fun. I'm not sad that I'm not buying this book. I haven't been buying the issues. I think I bought maybe the first issue or something. And as much as I like Mark Waid and Dan Mora, again, this isn't clicking as good for me as World's Finest has been. But at the end of the day, there's so many fun elements still happening in this story. Like, I love so many of the things that they got going on in here, that it is still a fun book. Like, I'm reading it digitally. I'll continue to read it that way. Maybe I'll pick up a collection at some point when it comes out. But for now, like I said, I'm not upset. I'm not buying it. But I am having a good time with this. Basically, in this issue, it's finally revealed. One of the gods basically tells the other gods to stop messing around with his emotions and everything like that. He says that they kind of misinterpreted what, like, he says, like, I wanted you to consider how he looks, like, because he's kind of the one that's wielding all of our powers to the public eye, but I didn't say like to fuck with it, like fuck with them, so he comes off even worse. Like, he needs to be able to like wield these powers. So he kind of puts a stop to like whatever they've had going on, like how they've been messing with him. And so that kind of gets taken, stops here in this issue. But meanwhile, then like I guess Zeus or whatever, the god, like is the one that tells them this. Then like he comes across this like Queen Bee type villain, which is kind of fun. Like I don't know if that's a pre-established character, like some D-list person they threw in there, but it was kind of fun. And then Zeus, like in it, because he's in his head, can kind of see what's going on, and through Shazam he starts hitting on her, like, which is kind of really funny. Like, and meanwhile it's a kid inside of him, right? Like that just turns into Shazam. So it's kind of like he's not really into this. Like he's trying to make out with this woman because it's Zeus and he's like a horn dog, which is pretty funny. And like that was really funny. And then you got another storyline still going on with the dinosaur and talking Tawny or whatever at the house of the Shazam, the family, the Shazamly or whatever the hell they're calling it now. I still really hate the fact that he's calling himself the Captain. I think that's fucking stupid. I hate that he can't call himself Captain Marvel in this anymore because of rights issues, which is fucking ridiculous. But getting past that, whatever. But I hate like it's just so stupid. Like Mark Waid must be fucking really pissed about that too. It just, but he keeps writing it into the story because they want him to be called this. So like he meets somebody and when he meets that killer, that Queen Bee in this, he's like, "Hey, I'm the Captain." I'm like, "Oh fuck, this is so stupid." But then you have all this Gorilla City stuff going on in this. There's a lot of really fun elements still in this book, and Dan Mora is drawing it, which I'm a big fan of. So I still got to give this a 3.75. It doesn't 100% click for me to the point where I'm like, I wish I was buying this, but I still really enjoy everything that's going on in this book. It's a fun time. So it definitely has the fun aspect of World's Finest. If I was more familiar, I think, with these characters, I'd probably be way more invested in this. The reason that World's Finest works for me because it's Superman and Batman, of course, right? So yeah, absolutely. But it's got the same type of energy. Batman 138, Chris.
Oof. Yep, got my copy here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know. This they better turn up the volume on this one too, or turn up the heat or something. I'm kind of it's losing me, I'm just kind of almost waiting for this run to be over and see what they got next. What's this stuff with I guess Robin's going, or Dick Grayson kind of going back into his past when he's thinking about some oaths that Batman made him take, and I guess Robin's trying to get Batman to remember that oath. Unless they got some plans for the Red Hood, but now the Red Hood is, I guess Batman didn't he inject him with something so the Red Hood won't be so fearless anymore or something? Yeah. There's a lot going on here, but I don't know, it just doesn't ring true to me still.
No, it's right out of steam for me as well. I think thankfully we only have I think one more issue. We might have just an issue with Catwoman and then an Omega type issue. So yeah. I think by the time this book comes back to the next issue of Batman, it might be over, or it might be dealing with like the prologue, which I'm fine with because I'm over this kind of storyline as well. I mean, there's been some interesting aspects to it. I have considered like certain points that they've brought up throughout that I thought were, like interesting ideas. But as a whole, you're right. I'm not buying it either. And I need to move past this because I think that Zdarsky had a lot of really good things going on with the last two arcs in this book. And the fact that they had to cross over with Catwoman has really kind of dragged down the quality, I think, overall of both those titles. I haven't been reading Catwoman, but I can only imagine because it is the same storyline. Because I've been reading the Catwoman issues of this storyline. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm sure this book was better than this. Right. So anyways, I mean, fucking art looks great still. I mean, of course, that's our boy there, Jorge Jimenez. But yeah,
he can't even save the story.
No. So it looks like Vandal Savage is up in the mix here too by the end of this. We'll see.
Yeah, don't think that Vandal Savage and Ra's al Ghul sort of mixing it up a little bit. Thought that was in like some of the outside stuff is interesting. That stuff with Marquez. I guess when a Catwoman's crew there, she seems to have some sort of connection to some big power. So that stuff's interesting. But I don't know, maybe they're just trying to separate the Bat family. This is how they're doing it, so they can almost run in their own titles a little bit more independently. I don't know. But yeah, 3.5. Let's get it on.
Yeah, same. X-Men 27, Chris.
Oof, what a cover though! I love this cover.
Yeah,
Freaking Cyclops there with his eyes stapled shut, and
yeah, good stuff.
no, he's got some. They got him in a tight spot there for sure. I think they got like
Yeah,
I think like on the other side of the wall they have like what the Juggernaut's attached to him. So if Juggernaut tries to leave, he'd
yeah,
crush Cyclops, and Juggernaut doesn't know who's on the other side.
yeah,
And well, in this one here, you got Kitty Pryde kind of just floating around this Orchis lab, getting a real idea of what's going on. So, like I did mention that you got Juggernaut in this one, and then she's about to set him free. And then she finds Cyclops. She finds, and then he's got some booby traps, like even inside his body. So if he gets set free, he could explode. And we got a lot of just kind of story building, let's say, in this one. And then she tells Cyclops, she tells what's the name, the Juggernaut, oh, I'm gonna, I'll come back tomorrow. I can't free you right now because then, the jig will be up, and we're trying to maintain our advantage. And then I think at the end of the issue, you have Sinister there saying, "Oh, I like that Juggernaut. I want some of that Juggernaut power. I think he's got that ruby or whatever that kind of gives him his Juggernaut power." I go, "That's inside him."
mhm,
Oh, and Fantastic Four too. I almost forgot about them in this story with that Rasputin four going up,
yeah,
trying to mix it up with Fantastic Four. That's great stuff in here too, and they're trying to
yeah.
hold her back, saying, I guess she's more into mutant history and not so much about what goes on with Fantastic Four. So she's not too familiar with them. That's good stuff there. And then, like I said, the ending this with Sinister, trying to kind of inferring that he's going to have to open up Juggernaut to get that jewel out of him and eat it himself. So if he does that, oof, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So more to come on this one too. I'm liking this.
Yeah, I think there was some really interesting stuff in this. I love this series. I think he's doing a great job lately. But I think in comparison to what's been happening as of lately, this was like a little bit of a more of a breather issue. Like I
Yeah, for
thought, like
sure.
you said, it was setting up a lot of things. I think that were important. I did enjoy her knocking out the Thing and everything when she showed up. I did like that, and how she kind of systematically took out the Fantastic Four. I like how like Reed acknowledged that she's a chimera and she's made up of all these different mutants. Like I liked all that. I liked the them bringing up the fact that his son was also part of that whole mutant thing at the early days of Krakoa. They
Yeah,
come and try to take him away and all that. Yeah, there was some interesting stuff here, but I think it's just like this book has just been hitting all kinds of highs for me lately. That this issue was just like a regular good issue, right? Like which
yeah,
isn't like I'm not even trying to insult the book because this was another good issue, but like it's been so good lately that this was like just fine. Like for me, I was just like, okay, this isn't as good as it has been in the last few issues, but like this was still decent. And Phil Noto on art, which was nice for this issue, which he hasn't been on it for a bit. I felt like, yeah, this is good. This was good.
I just
Yeah.
feel bad that the best Fantastic Four I've seen in the last little while has to be in an X-Men book.
Hey, listen, I'll take it where I can get
I'll
it.
take
I
it
mean,
where I
even
find it, but like I say, that's not good for Fantastic Four.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What'd you give this out of 5?
I did like this one. I'm liking this whole run still. I'll give it a 4.
I'm gonna give this 3.75 just because I said I didn't like it maybe as much as you did this week, but still another fucking solid issue. I think out of the two X-Men books that came out this week, though, I might have liked Immortal X-Men 16 a little bit more. But why don't you tell us about that one, Chris? Go ahead.
Immortal X-Men 16. Ooh, there's some good things here. Like the stuff with Xavier on the island. That is killer stuff. The only thing that's not getting me is this where the rest of the mutants are, I don't know, where in that whatever world they are in, that's giving me some lost vibes, I think they might be in some sort of purgatory. I don't think they're in some any like physical land because with this, I don't know, these monsters that are coming out or whatever is coming out after them. A lot of people are starting to say, hey, these are sort of my nightmares or something. And then there's some reference to some white room. I kind of looked that up
Mm-hmm.
or I read some stuff what that could be. So I'm getting a feeling that they could be just in some like freaking pocket dimension or some sort of somebody's headspace even. Like Jean Grey shows up in there and I was under the impression that she was dead still, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then with the stuff with Apocalypse too, I'm not sure where he is. Is he in this world or is he back in the real world?
I think he's over there. I'm not like to your point. I'm not as into all the apocalypse stuff that happened in this book, but that might also just be because I'm no longer reading X-Men Red. But I don't love that portion of the story in this issue, but I loved everything else. Like you said, the Xavier stuff, the
Yeah, that
Sebastian.
Xavier stuff with Black with whatever Sebastian Shaw and Celine.
Yeah,
Like
that was
this is
awesome.
Xavier freaking unleashed, and I haven't seen him like this. Like maybe this happened in some of the earlier stuff that I didn't read, but he is like when you see him like this, you wonder why he even had to make the X Men. He could have done this all on his own the whole time.
Hmm. Yeah, I love my favorite scene of this was the Sebastian Shaw going to the vault and like revealing that he's got like this kind of like Iron Man-esque armor.
Yeah,
He's such a dick. Like I don't know. I kind of like how like he's going up against Xavier though, and and like you said, like he is just fucking like pissed off to like he's like unhinged at this point after everything that he's endured
yeah.
over the last little bit. I just think this has been a great companion book to the main X-Men title. I mean, this is like one of the only things that Jerry Duggan isn't helming in terms of the X-Men stuff that I've been reading and enjoying. I think Kieran Gillen has done a good job. Yeah, and then you got this at the end, which it alludes to the fact that he might be one of the Sinisters here at the end. Is that what's going on, or is he just trying to
I'm
fuck with
hoping
him?
that's just written on the mirror. He just happens to be standing there where the diamond is, but
Mm.
that's a nice ending, of course.
Yeah, it kind of leaves a lot more. This issue kind of gave you more questions than it kind of, like you said, in the lost fashion almost left
Yeah.
you a lot more questions than answers. I felt like, but like, yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff here. I thought this was a really good issue this week of Immortal X-Men. So,
But they got to give
uh,
that Sebastian Shaw. They got to give him a better reason why he's doing stuff he's doing. Not it can't be just money. Like this guy's probably got a freaking shitload of money to begin with. You know what I mean? Like there's got
well,
to be. He's got to have some
he
deeper drive.
no, but that's the thing, Chris. He used to. He doesn't have the money now. That's what
Yeah,
I
but
think
he can
is the
get
whole
money. It's not
issue.
like it's gonna be hard for him to get money. Like, come on.
I don't I don't know. I think that kind of rings true to this type of character though, right? I think that's what all he cares. I think he's just greedy, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
but he's
But
got to
yeah.
get a deeper drive. Like it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a good or altruistic one. It could be even baser, but can't be just
Yeah.
pure greed.
Listen, man, he's
But
petty.
anyways, yeah, still good stuff though.
What'd you give this out of 5?
If it wasn't for that stuff in the desert, man, I don't like any of that stuff. I'm giving this only a 4. If they put this all on freaking, if this was like an Xavier issue where he's just freaking going unleashed, it would have been a whole lot better.
I agree with you. I'm also gonna give it a 4. I like I said, I gave it like a notch above X-Men this week, but both great issues.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
like this
and and
Fall of
it,
X stuff is great,
yeah, it's been really good.
and I've
All
been
right,
reading
Chris.
some stuff where people don't like it.
Yeah, I've been hearing that too. I've been hearing that too. I don't know. I think it's been really good.
Yeah,
Stay tuned for the awards at the end of the year, guys. I think it's gonna maybe be showing up at some point or one of our awards for sure. But Chris is bringing back this category here of the show, segment that we haven't had in quite some time. We're bringing it back here with this one here today from the vaults. Chris is pulling out a book from old here this week. That's all the new books we want to talk about this week, though, guys. So stay tuned, though. We will get to our other what we're reading next week and favorite book of the week. But Chris wanted to show off this recent pickup.
well, I got a couple pickups here that we're talking about it. These are just, like there's when I go to my LCS, they kind of have a bin there where they kind of just put some comics out there. Nothing fancy, nothing special. If I'm waiting to get my pull, my whatever they get in my pull list, if there's something else there, I'll kind of leaf through them. And a while ago, I came across this one here. I think it's an Archer issue. It's Catwoman 11.
Let me see that. Oh,
A little bit of
nice.
a glare,
Nice
but
one.
it's a decent cover.
Yeah.
I think it was like $6.99. I think they might have given me $5 or something like that.
Not bad.
And then the other day, or just last week, I was going through it. And, I've always seen this cover. I think I might have been reading this when it first came out, but for whatever reason, I wasn't buying DC then. But I got the Crisis on Infinite Earths
Yeah.
number 7. It's that big issue with Superman holding the dead Supergirl there. I always thought this was an iconic issue. This
Oh
issue's a
yeah.
bit beat up. I don't know if this is like a very expensive issue, if it's in good condition. They
It's
have it
worth a
marked.
bit.
They have it marked as very good, but when I looked at it, like the spine is beat to hell, the corners are beat to hell, and they
How
had
much
it at
was it?
$7.99.
Oh yeah, that's why it's beat up.
Yeah, but that's right. And
Yeah.
that's almost for these types of issues. This is the way I'd like to buy them, just so I can open it up, I can look at it, I can enjoy it. Chances are even like if I buy these expensive issues, I'm never going to sell them. I know what's going to happen to them, whatever, 20 years
Mhm.
or so. But
Yeah.
this is always an issue I always like to have, and I might put one of those hardcovers and just kind of keep it up on my rack there. Just
Yeah.
get to take a quick peek every once in a while.
I do the same thing with some low grade copies of covers that I really love too. Yeah, that's exactly what I've done, as you've seen with I put them in the hard plastic. Like
Yeah,
I got a
they're
few
good in the
issues
hard
like
plastic.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's a key issue right there that you picked up, and for $7.99, can't go fucking wrong with that one.
Yeah,
I would have picked them up too, for that matter. Yeah, that is a iconic issue. That death of Supergirl in there on the cover. George Perez, of course.
yeah.
Right.
I
So
got
yeah,
picked
good
up. Well,
stuff.
hey, is this like the actual issue? This isn't a reprint or something. He goes, yeah, that's the actual issue. I go, oh, perfect. I'll take it.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well there you go. There's a return from the vault. Thank you for sharing, Chris. It's been a while since we've shown off something here on the show, so there you have it, guys. But Chris, what are you looking to read next week?
Next week is a small week. Finally, jeez, Louise. I got Amazing Spider-Man 35. Looking forward to that. I think I read some of the previews. Some big things going on there. Avengers 6, Superior Spider-Man 1. This one I'm still on the fence. I don't know if this is just going to be kind of memories of what happened when Doc Ock was Spider-Man, or if this is going to be taking place sort of in continuity, and
Yeah.
he's going to be trying to somehow get the Spider-Man powers back. Venom 26, big stuff there. We got Black Widow getting venomized, or she's picking up a symbiote, and Wolverine 38. I think he's teaming up with somebody in this one here too, but Wolverine's been pretty good. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, small week for me too. There might be a couple other things digitally I might check out, which I may not mention here, but yeah, Wolverine at 38 I'm going to be checking out too. But then I got Batman City of Madness, 1 of 3, which is a new DC Black Label book. Batman title. Amazing Spider-Man 35, really looking forward to that. Avengers 6, Creep Show number 2 with Michael Walsh from Silver Coin is doing a short story in that, so I'm really looking forward to that. I was a big fan of that. Kaya number 12 and Superior Spider-Man Returns, like Chris just mentioned. So yeah, maybe since it is a smaller week, maybe we'll be able to get that one out a little earlier for you guys next week. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe have to do that on the day of release, one of our Wednesday shows, if we can get it together in time. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, good decent sized week. I think I have a couple others, like I said, that I didn't mention, but nothing like the last few weeks have been.
Yeah.
And
Well, here we got Peter Parker, Spider-Man's fighting Mary Jane in this issue.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because she was trying to escape New York in the last one.
Yeah,
That's right.
she's got a jackpot power still.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Christine, my partner, she actually just recently caught up on Spider-Man finally, because she, as you know, she's trying to catch up on a bunch of issues she's got in her pile. And she read that oversized issue with the 700 or whatever it was, 800, I forgot.
Yeah,
I don't know what issue it was,
900.
but it was
Yeah.
900. Yeah, it was the one with the tombstone wedding. And she really liked that short story where it set up a possible future series which is yet to come out with Jackpot and Black Cat. And she obviously liked the Jed McKay series that came
Yeah.
out. She's like, I wouldn't mind checking out if they actually had a solo series, these two, if they have like a series
Yeah,
together.
they do another run, whatever. Like they put out like 6 issues, every couple of years of them too. It's always good stuff, even if they're not involved in Peter Parker's life.
Yeah, I mean, she liked everything going on in the main story, but that was one takeaway that she had mentioned to me. She's like, "Hey, they teased this series that's going to be coming out. I'd be interested in that." So yeah, we'll see. I looked it up. It's yet to be announced or come out, but apparently it's supposed to be coming out in the new year. So we'll see. I mean, like, I wasn't so keen on it to begin with, but I think that there is some good stories that can be told with those characters for sure. I just don't know if Mary Jane needs superpowers, but
Yeah,
I mean, like, we'll see what we
could have
get.
them for a year or two, and that's it. But
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just did my my December pull list, and I got these. It just seems to be all these ski chalet variants that are coming out in December. They're looking good. You got a J. Scott Campbell one. I think there's one for Spider-Man 2. There's one for Spider-Boy, and they got one with Doctor Strange. As when you're talking about Doctor Strange, I think I'm getting Doctor Strange 10. I think you got Clea in a hot tub. If you like cheesecake, there it is.
I might have to check. I have to
You
look into
want
this some
if you
more.
want some dessert for Christmas, there it is.
There you have it. I might have to look into this some more. There's Christmas cheesecake update for you guys. For all you cheesecake collectors out there. All right, Chris, let's stop beating around the bush here. Our favorite book of the week. Come on. Come on
Oh, yeah.
now.
Don't worry, you got it.
Come on.
Come
Robots
on, how
in
can you say anything? It's God.
disguise.
Yeah, there's no way it could have
Yeah.
been anything else.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. For a moment, because I think I read it around the same time, I thought that other strong contenders this week. There's other strong contenders. Peacemaker was in the running, I think, for a moment. Even Birds of Prey, I thought was really good. Sacrificers, good
Yeah,
week. But yeah, Transformers, head and shoulders above all.
yeah.
Like I
For
can't
number
even
one to
say it.
deliver, that's all. Like there, number one Transformers delivers. Number one Gods falls flat. Come on, and you pay $10 for
Right.
that, and regular price for this.
I will say the only disappointing piece of news that I've heard of the Transformers thing so far, and I'm not surprised, is that, Daniel Warren Johnson, who's writing and drawing this book, is apparently only drawing the first 6 issues.
Good.
So,
Then I don't have
but
to buy 7. Perfect. I
he
can't get a
is
new ongoing.
he is signed on to write 7 to 12, but they
Yeah,
have yet to announce the artist that will be taking over for him. But I'll tell you right now, whoever it is not gonna fucking, I think they're gonna have to bring in,
yeah. I think
like,
that
I
they
don't
should
know,
be able to draw top talent for this because this
same.
Transformers, I think it's sold out. It's gone into second printing before the first
It
printing
has.
came out,
It
and
has.
this is under Skybound, right? Like
It is,
Image,
which
but
is
yeah,
Skybound is Robert Kirkman's imprint though at Image. So
yeah,
yeah, this is like he's bringing out all the I mean, no, that's the thing. When I heard they got the rights for this and they announced him on a book, they got Kirkman on a book, you got those G.I. Joe miniseries coming out with really good artists, Joshua Williamson writing them. I'm like, okay, they're pulling out the top good
yeah,
talent for these
for
books.
sure.
That is the main reason why I'm checking this line of this Energon universe out, because I'm like, if you gotta put your top talent on these titles, at least for the first year or whatever, to get people into it, then I'm in for at least that period of time.
Yeah, it's like when Transformers was with Marvel. There, basically, they were just freaking commercials for the toys, and you might have like some freaking secret, story writer or artist that would just kind of come in and blow up after that. But it was never anything special. This seems something special.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well put. Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, look forward to more because I mean, if this came earlier in the year, he might fucking got swept the awards again this year, but I think we're only going to get a couple issues by the time we have to do that, but it is a great fucking debut issue, and if you haven't checked out Do a Powerbomb from last year, there's a trade paperback out right now of that. Definitely check that out because that's worth anything Daniel Warren Johnson has really worked on. I've really enjoyed, but I think this past year of stuff that he's done, between this debut issue and the Do Powerbomb, has been some of his best stuff yet. So yeah, definitely check those things out. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Great show, Chris, as always. A lot of fun, and we will catch you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure
Tomorrow,
you're subscribed. Yeah, yeah, exactly. we'll see you then, and yeah, later, guys. Bye.
later. Cheers.
Later.